off our list at number 10 is Rob Schneider, the hilarious actor well known for his work in comedy films. He was once taking on big roles starring in multiple movies next to other big stars like Adam Sandler. In the 1990s and early 2000s, he was everywhere. But nowadays you don't really see much of him anymore. Many would say that his time has passed. He's done a lot of the same comedy which had him playing similar parts each time, and casting directors are probably looking for something more fresh and new. It doesn't help that some of his movies received very bad reviews, and he was even sued for one of them. Back in 2010, investors sued him for his straight-to-DVD movie called The Chosen One because they wanted to recoup their investment since the movie didn't do very well. That doesn't really paint a pretty picture for other casting directors wanting to really work with him. It's been a few years since we have last seen him on a screen as Rob in the TV series Real Rob. Now his movies are mainly found in discount movie bins at the store, and his latest booking was a video game back in 2018. At number 9 we have Julia Stiles. The actress first rose to stardom in the early 2000s with movies like 10 Things I Hate About You, Down to You, and Save the Last Dance. She took home a number of Teen Choice Awards during the prime of her career. Her career was expected to blossom from there, but it took a turn for the worse when her movies A Guy Thing, Mona Lisa Smile, and The Omen all crashed at the box office. The actress spoke on her career and told an interviewer, and I quote, "I think audiences, producers, and directors included develop crushes on actors and then lose interest and move on to the next one." She did admit that there are a handful of actors that are able to sustain interest throughout the years, but sadly she wasn't one of them. She hasn't been seen since 2017 when she booked a role in the TV series Riveria. She is rumored to be in an upcoming movie called Hustlers where she booked the role as Jennifer. The movie has some big actors in it like J-Lo, and apparently alongside her is Cardi B. Stiles can't be found in any of the behind the scenes or promotions that are currently out, so we're guessing that she's a secondary role or character, which is a great job to book, but nothing compared to what she used to do. Taking the number 8 spot on our list is Hayden Christensen. His career should have taken off when he played Anakin Skywalker in the Star Wars trilogy. However, he received more praise for his other work before that, in A Life as a House and Shattered Glass. When auditioning for the role of Anakin, he was chosen for the role over 1,500 other possibilities. It was unfortunate that his performance didn't wow anyone like his other work did. He took home 2 Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Supporting Actor. Since then, the actor says it's been hard for him to find work ever since. He says that people can't get past his Anakin character and could only book some smaller roles in some films. For 3 years, he was in films that received negative reviews and even worse box office results. After that time, the actor said he pulled the plug on acting and bought a farm with his wife and kid instead. He has to make a living somehow, and acting just isn't cutting it anymore. In the last 4 years, he's only been credited for 4 projects on IMDb, and none of them that are recognizable. And at number 7, we have Ashley Greene. Her career took off when she booked the role as Alice Cullen in the Twilight movie series. Between the years of 2009 and 2012, Ashley Greene racked up 5 Teen Choice Awards for her role, and she was even named Superstar of Tomorrow at the Young Hollywood Awards in 2012. It looked like her career would continue to take off from there, but over the years it kind of just fizzled away. None of the movies she booked after that took home more than $1 million, except for her movie The Apparition in 2012, which made $15 million. However, the budget for the film was $17 million, so it wouldn't be considered a win since casting directors and agents want actors who will bring them some money. Since then, she's had a hard time finding decent work, and nothing compares to her years with the Twilight franchise. Sliding into number 6 is Vince Vaughn, a very successful actor who has a huge list of movies like Old School and Wedding Crashers. He's mainly recognized for his comedic characters, which might be the reason he stopped booking lead roles over the years. A pattern began to unravel in his career where he only played the same type of character over and over again. Some would say that his charm has worn off. He's been out of the spotlight for some time now and turned to the production side of things, where he has quite the list on his resume. He hasn't given up on acting though. He does book whatever he can get his hands on. He's done some films which made it into film festivals but not theaters, and he might be returning to a bigger movie with Liam Hemsworth. In October 2018, it was rumored that he'd be doing a movie called Arkansas, but nothing has been mentioned ever since then. We're not sure what his role would be or if it's really happening. All we know is he hasn't starred in a big Hollywood movie in years. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Catherine Zeta-Jones. She was wildly popular in the early 2000s, where she had great success for her movies, even taking home the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for her role in Chicago. But over the past decade, her career dwindled away, and according to Catherine, it's because of her age. She spoke out on the issue during an interview and said, I quote, "It's not that there aren't great stories to be told about women in their 40s, it's just that the big bosses bosses in Hollywood feel that the demographic of moviegoers are less interested. During the years of 2014 to 2016, she had 0 credits to her name. Since then, she booked a small role in a TV series called Feud, and more recently booked a role on the show Queen America. The show's network, however, is Facebook Watch, which is a video-on-demand service operated by Facebook, which I've never heard of, so many people haven't even heard of it or seen her show. The show ran for a season in 2018 and has yet to be confirmed for another one. Alright guys, at number 4 we have Katherine Heigl. The actress was once taking the lead in every movie in the later 2000s. Back to back, she starred in Knocked Up, 27 Dresses, and then The Ugly Truth. At the same time, she also starred on the TV hit series Grey's Anatomy. As time went on, she was no longer able to book the lead in big Hollywood movies like she was known for doing. One big reason why could be that she dissed some of the movies that she worked on. She publicly spoke badly about her biggest blockbuster hit, Knocked Up. She told Vanity Fair in 2008, and I quote, "It paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight. I'm playing such a bitch. It was hard for me to love the movie." She also went on to diss her time on Grey's Anatomy and even pulled herself from the race for an Emmy nomination. She hasn't had the best reputation over the years, and it didn't help when Forbes reported her as Hollywood's most overpaid actress in December 2013. They stated studios' return on investment of just $3.50 for every $1 she was paid. That's nothing when you compare it to an actress like Natalie Portman, who is $42.70 for every $1 paid. Needless to say, we haven't seen her in a Hollywood movie in years. You can find her playing a secondary role on the TV series Suits, and that's about it. At spot number 3 is Chris Owen. Back in 1999, the actor made a name for himself by playing Chuck Sherman, aka the Shermanator, in the hit comedy movie American Pie. He reprised the role for all the films and even in the spin-off American Pie Presents Bandcamp. Outside of the franchise, he had other success in shows like Seventh Heaven and The Mentalist. However, his career faded and he was off the Hollywood radar for a number of years. In 2014, New York Daily News reported he was working as a waiter in a restaurant in California. In the interview, he said, "Life doesn't always go the way you planned. I love acting and this job lets me stay in the fight." The good news is the article helped him book 2 small film roles after it was published. Since then, he's been able to pop up in a few things here or there, like an episode on Criminal Minds back in 2016. We can't blame the guy for trying. I have some serious respect for him. Alright guys, at number 2 is Matthew Fox. He had a successful acting career taking on roles in the hit TV series Haunted and Lost. However, over the years he's made a name for himself as one you don't want to hire. He attempted a movie career which never really took off. Both of his movies, Alex Cross and World War Z, were box office flops, and his role for one of them was mostly cut out of the final product. In his personal life, he's made some nasty headlines, including allegations from former co-stars that he beats women. One allegation came from a woman accusing him of hitting a female bus driver. He's also been charged with a few DUIs. He publicly talked about giving up on acting, which also makes it harder to cast him. During an interview, he said if he doesn't get quality opportunities, he won't take anything at all. This is probably why he has no credits to his name since 2015. Taking our number 1 spot is Drew Barrymore, a very successful actress who grew up in the spotlight. She began as a child star and her career continued to take off from there. The reason we don't see her anymore is because she no longer gets booked for roles like she used to. However, she is okay with it. She has made it clear that she will only take certain roles because she wants to be a good role model to her daughters. It limits the option for casting directors to hire her, which is why she turned to the producer side of things. And just like her acting was successful, so is her production company. She teamed up with Jimmy Fallon's wife to create the company, which has some successful hits like How to Be Single and Santa Clarita Diet. This is why you can see Drew starring in the Netflix series, because she actually produced it. It probably would have been different if she didn't produce it, because we haven't seen her in a big Hollywood hit since the movie Blended back in 2014. I personally still love her though, she's the best. Starting off our list at number 10 is Macaulay Culkin. The child star became a household name courtesy of Home Alone and then its sequel. His career started off strong, but his household name didn't stand strong for long. He continued to book roles after that, but none of them really put him on the map the way his childhood did. In 2005, he had drug charges against him which he pleaded guilty to. He pleaded guilty to the possession of marijuana and medication without a prescription. He was given a 1-year deferred jail sentence and was ordered to pay his fees. The actor was only 24 at the time. This was just a few weeks after he appeared in court to defend the case that was going on against Michael Jackson, who had sexual assault charges against him at the time. Culkin faced a lot of heat for defending the man who was being accused of child molesting, but he stood firm on his beliefs. Now, in 2019, at 38 years old, he still faces the heat defending the documentary theory that recently came out about the Michael Jackson allegations. Culkin has no problem admitting that he spent a lot of time alone with Jackson, but nothing inappropriate ever took place. He claims that they were just best friends. The two remained close over the years, and Culkin is actually the godfather to his daughter Paris Jackson. He has stayed out of Hollywood movies for some time now and has turned to live comedy acts where he has no problem joking about the Michael Jackson scandal. You can only imagine that some people don't take his jokes too well. At number 9 is John Cusack. The actor began starring in films during the 1980s and has starred in a number of movies ever since, like Say Anything, The Raven, and Love and Mercy. However, he made a total of 17 movies between the years 2012 to 2016, and a big chunk of them just went straight to DVD. Most of them you probably haven't even heard of unless you're digging through that $5 Walmart bin still, which is fine, judgment-free zone. He did have some higher quality movies though, like his 2015 movie Love and Mercy. It got some Oscar buzz for his co-star Elizabeth Banks. The actor is now in his 50s, and I'm not saying he's too old to act by any means, but if it were 15 years ago, he would still be able to audition for the rom-coms he used to do. Things are just different for the actor now. The industry is constantly changing. It hasn't stopped him from keeping busy with a number of passion projects, writing a book, and even co-funding a foundation called Freedom of the Press. Taking over spot number 8 is Misha Barton. The actress became an international star for her role as Marissa Cooper on the hit TV series The OC. Her career took a hit when she quit the show the year before it ended its 4-season run. Her acting career has stalled for the past 11 years as she tried to make a comeback but only made headlines, and for all the wrong reasons. In 2007, she was arrested for a DUI and was given 36 months probation, alcohol education classes, and had to pay a fine as part of the plea deal. Later in 2009, the former star was then hospitalized in a psych ward, and E! News said it was for suicidal actions. After that, she continued to try and book smaller roles, like her guest appearance on Law & Order and Noel Gallagher's music video for his song Everybody's on the Run. People were happy to see her on Dancing with the Stars in 2016, but she was the second celebrity contestant to be eliminated, so we didn't see her for very long. 2017 was a tough one for her. She was once again hospitalized and then had a lawsuit case against her ex-boyfriend, who filmed an explicit video of her without her consent and was selling them online. She ended up removing herself from the spotlight, and rightfully so, and now she says she's in a better place. We will see her making an appearance in the upcoming reality show The Hills, but as far as her acting days, she said that she just started reading scripts again, so maybe she will have another shot at it. Sliding into number 7 is Dane Cook. He first began his career as a comedian, but then later brought his skills into the movie world. He made his first on-screen appearance in the movie Employee of the Month, where he starred with Jessica Simpson. Unfortunately, his first major role was a flop, and the movie received only a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. He tried to make a comeback when he took on a major role in Good Luck Chuck. The movie was given horrible reviews and received just a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not only were his movies a flop, but his comedy took a hit after he made an inappropriate joke back in 2012 about a mass shooting. He made a joke referencing the shooting that happened in Colorado during the screening of The Dark Knight Rises. The actor apologized later for his joke, but some people weren't so forgiving. More recently, he's been caught up in another controversy by people judging him for dating a girl who is only 19 years old. They began dating when she was just 18 years old and he was 45 at the time. The two of them have continued dating for over a year now. People have had no problem voicing their opinion on the 26-year age gap. Dane is staying away from acting, but is making a comeback in comedy by doing a comedy tour this year. He admits that he will be sticking to comedy and that acting is in his past. At number 6 is Shanae Grimes. She used to be an it girl in The Running, starring on 2 major TV shows, Degrassi: The Next Generation and then 90210. The Canadian actress was on her way, but her career went in a different direction than most people expected. She ended up becoming a co-anchor and correspondent for Pop Sugar back in 2015. She reported everything like fashion, movies, television, and celebrity news. She called the opportunity, and I quote, "an incredible start to a new chapter in my career." From there, she also appeared on as a guest on both Fashion Police and Fashion News Live. Over the years, she's continued to book smaller acting gigs, but she turned her focus more onto fashion. She began her own clothing and jewelry line with her husband called two halves. Fans were excited when she announced in 2018 that she was working on a crime drama TV series called The Detail. However, she later announced on a YouTube video that the show was actually cancelled. She now spends most of her time vlogging on her YouTube channel and working on her business. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Sarah Michelle Gellar. The actress will always be known for Buffy the Vampire Slayer because of its massive success, but she did continue her acting career after that. She began doing horror films, which transitioned her from the TV series to the big screen. How can we forget when she was haunted in Tokyo by the terrifying Grudge? Some of her movies were ripped to shreds though by critics, and even some of her non-horror movies were considered to be flops, like her sci-fi romantic comedy Simply Irresistible. It only received a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it only took home $4 million at the box office. She attempted to go back to TV, but her TV show Ringer was cancelled, and her show The Crazy Ones, with Robin Williams at the time, was cancelled after just one season. She did find success as a voice actor though. She is now focused on her business that she launched called Foodsters. It's a cooking and lifestyle brand that she runs with her husband, Freddie Prinze Jr. She is now a proud mother of 2 and still books acting projects just whenever she can. Alright guys, at number 4 is Tobey Maguire, or Peter Parker as we know him. He was at the height of his career during his 2007 Spider-Man adventure, but the series reboot also meant the end of his career in some ways. After the Spider-Man success, he continued to act in other movies, but they just didn't do well. In 2011, he starred in the romantic comedy The Details, which received mixed reviews about his performance. He popped up on television when he took on one of the leads in Gatsby, but ever since then it doesn't seem like he's had many leading opportunities. In 2014, he starred in Pawn Sacrifice, which had positive reviews, but was a box office flop. The film cost $19 million to make and only made $5.6 million back. It seemed that he kinda went MIA in 2014, and we've only seen him in 2017 when he did voiceover work in The Boss Baby. I'm not sure what the exact reasoning is. Did he just give up on acting? Did casting directors give up on him? Who knows? He doesn't have any credits to his name since 2017, so only one can wonder what exactly he's been up to. And at number 3 is Billy Zane. He played the villain in what was once the biggest movie of all time, Titanic. Yes, he was the snooty British guy who taunts Kate Winslet just as the big ship is about to sink. After having the wildly successful movie on his resume, you would expect it to just keep building from there. And it did, but only in movies you've probably never heard of. The actor also did some TV work back in 2016 when he took on the role of Stan in the TV series called Guilt. His TV time didn't last long though because the show got cancelled after just one season. If you watch the show Curfew, which is currently running, you can see him playing Joker Jones. Some people haven't even heard of the show, but those who have seem to enjoy seeing Billy after all of these years. As for booking movie roles, he continues to take on all the projects that he can. Here we are at number 2 with Lori Loughlin. The actress is best known for her role as Aunt Becky from the hit sitcom Full House. From there, her career continued to be a huge success as she booked roles on the TV series Summerland and 90210. More recently, you would have seen her in the Netflix reboot Fuller House and the TV series called When Calls the Heart. She has also had a number of TV movies on her resume, but just this year in early 2019, her career took a massive hit when she got involved in an FBI sting that people say destroyed her future. She was one of many people who were charged for being involved in a massive scam involving wealthy people who paid huge sums to a man named William Singer. He would get their kids into top schools such as Yale, Stanford, and USC by forging SAT scores and exam results. Government officials reported that the actress and her husband spent $500,000 on the services to get their daughters into USC. FBI agents attempted to arrest the actress at her California home on March 12, 2019, but she was filming in Vancouver. They ended up arresting her husband instead, and then she turned herself in the following day. After the scandal, it was reported that she was fired from Fuller House and Hallmark's parent company called Crown Media. Here's hoping that Hollywood can be forgiving and that she can return to the screen soon. Taking our number 1 spot is Taylor Lautner. Yes, the Hollywood heartthrob is taking our number 1 spot. Before all you Twilight fans get all defensive, ask yourself when you last saw him in a big Hollywood movie. It has been years. We all know him to play the successful role of Jacob in the Twilight series, but that all came to an end, and that is when he had to create a career outside of that role. In 2011, he had the lead role in an action thriller movie called Abduction, which should have set his acting career in motion. The movie received mixed critics and didn't do as well as they thought it would at the box office. He was cast for the smaller roles after that, like 10 episodes as Dr. Cassidy Casade on the TV series Scream Queens in 2016. There isn't much on his resume after that, so if he plans on making it back on the big screen, I think it's going to take some hard work. What do you guys think? Do you think he will make a comeback? In spot number 10, we have Margot Robbie. You would think she would be completely unbothered after watching her take on the role as Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, but apparently she had a more difficult time when filming I, Tonya. She took on the role of the vilified figure skater Tonya Harding, which seemed to have come at a big cost. She revealed that she needed weekly MRI scans after herniating a disc in her neck. But her physical health was actually the least of her worries. She got so lost in her role that her real life became dangerously blurred for her at times. During an interview, she said, "I had lost my mind. I genuinely thought we were these people, and we were off the set, running down the street, screaming at each other, and the cameras were running after us." Things got especially hard for her because her character had to be in an abusive relationship, which she found very emotionally traumatic for her, even off camera. Cruising into number 9 is Anne Hathaway. The role in Les Miserables was, I'm saying it weird, y'all, because it's kind of French and it's coming out really weird. But anyways, the role was not only emotionally straining for the actress, but it was also physically straining as she lost weight for the role and chopped off her hair. She said her diet consisted of lettuce and oatmeal paste in order to lose the weight to take on her tragic character, which was a lot to come back from after the movie was done. When speaking about her experience during an interview, she said, "I was in such a state of deprivation, physical and emotional. When I got home, I couldn't react to the chaos of the world without being overwhelmed. It took me weeks till I felt like myself again." The only good news that came from all the strain that she went through was that her performance won her an Oscar. And if you haven't seen it, it was well deserved. Oatmeal paste, also what is that? That sounds disgusting. Making his way into number 8 is Christina Applegate. This one wasn't a movie role, it was actually a TV series that left the actress in therapy afterwards. So I'm counting it, because it still somewhat counts. Netflix renewed her show Dead to Me for a second season after the dark comedy received praise from audiences and critics. Of course, she was thrilled for the good news, but she also had some nerves knowing she would have to film a second season. This was because she said the role took a physical and emotional toll on her. There were some physical aspects that took a toll, like having to dance, which she said was very hard on her 47-year-old body. But it was the mental side of the role that had a lasting effect. During interviews, she revealed that she had to draw from her own personal losses to get to where she needed to be for her scenes, and that obviously caused her to need to go to therapy to get through those personal emotions. She said, "It tapped into some stuff that I had to face. Did I start therapy after I shot the show? Yes, absolutely. I love a celebrity who will admit that they're in therapy. There should be no shame about it." Up next, number 7 is Leonardo DiCaprio. His role in The Revenant brought him a lot of praise and even an Oscar award, but it wasn't all glitz and glam. The actor went to extreme lengths to play the role of a man who has to go to crazy lengths in order to survive. He didn't have stunt doubles to do all of these scenes for him either. He actually filmed in sub-zero temperatures, did river dives in freezing temperatures, wore frozen bear skin, and even ate real raw liver. If you've seen the movie, that is real. Like, he could have used something fake, but no. He committed. Of course, he got sick during the filming process, which isn't a surprise after what I just said. But it was all the physical strain that also brought him some mental struggles. He says the movie took him to a mental place that he never imagined could happen. And though he was thrilled to win an Oscar, he did struggle with this experience. During an interview, he said, "I'm not complaining about the difficulty of it, but it took us all somewhere that we never imagined." Well, I can imagine. Like, they can't fake the temperatures and things like that. Like, did you have to eat real liver? I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. Method acting. Into number 6, we have Shelley Duvall. She played the iconic role of Wendy Torrance in The Shining, which would be any actor's dream, but it actually turned out to be mental torture, according to the actress. The movie shot for 13 months, and the infamous baseball bat scene took up to 127 takes. If you don't recall the scene, it requires Shelley's character to scream in terror and cry the entire time. The actress said she spent 12 hours a day just screaming, and that trying to give that level of performance every day was almost unbearable. She explained how much it took a toll on her mental health and said, "To wake up on a Monday morning so early and realize that you had to cry all day because it was scheduled, I would just start crying." She revealed that the emotional strain actually put physical strain on her as well, explaining that her body would basically rebel and tell her to stop crying every day. She said that she would cry off camera just thinking about the scenes, and crying she would have to do at work the next day. 127 takes. Come on. If the like, I'll be damned if I'll be like, bro, you need to get your directing in check if I have to do this 127 times. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Heather Donahue. Her acting career was short-lived because her breakaway role had left her scarred and turned her away from the industry. She took on the lead role in the iconic movie The Blair Witch Project, which was an unusual movie shoot that left her with constant anxiety. All of the cast have spoken about it and agreed that they did not have an enjoyable filming experience. As they plunged into the woods to film, they didn't know exactly what the directors had planned, so they were deliberately alarmed every night, which kept them in a state of constant anxiety. A lot of the scares and emotions that we see in the movie are actually real, you guys. Not only that, but the movie's unusual marketing technique forced her to pretend the movie plot was real before the movie even came out. She had to pretend in real life that she was no longer alive. She talked about the strange experience and said, "My obituary was published when I was 24. It's a complicated thing to be deceased when you're still very much alive and eager to make a name for yourself." So after the movie, she ended up quitting acting, and she is now a novelist and screenwriter. Can you imagine? I understand the whole marketing technique they did to make it feel like those kids were disappeared, but do you tell your family? How do you tell your boss at work, like, I'm not dead? Taking over spot number 4 is Bob Hoskins. The actor had an incredible career and will always be remembered and loved for his role in the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. What appeared to be a really fun movie to film, the actor had to spend hours a day talking to and acting alongside fictional characters that weren't actually there. Seems like fun, maybe, but apparently it was a lot more difficult than anyone thought. Bob spoke about how difficult it was and wrote in a note that he had learned how to hallucinate during the filming process. He explained that he would constantly hear the voices in his head of the characters that were never there while he was filming. When shooting, he found himself constantly talking to himself and even hallucinating that Roger was sitting in the same room as him. Things got very intense for him that when he spoke to his doctor actually advised him to take a break from acting during that time. I mean, yeah, imagine talking to nothing for an entire movie shoot. An entire movie shoot. Nothing. Like, you're just I would go crazy. And the third spot is Adrian Brody. The actor's physical transformation for the 2002 movie was obvious, but no one knew about the mental and emotional strain that he went through until he opened up about it. He discussed how hard it was for him to take on the role of a Holocaust survivor, and even though he won the Academy Award for his performance, he said it was at a high cost. He told BBC that to prepare for the role, he gave up his apartment, sold his car, disconnected his phones, and moved to Europe. But the most difficult part was the emotional effect of starvation that he found was the most surprising and most difficult to deal with. He said, "I've experienced loss, I've experienced sadness in my life, but I didn't know the desperation that comes with hunger." Things were actually so intense for him that he said it took a year and a half to even settle back into regular life once he had finished filming. Y'all, I get so cranky when I'm hungry, I can't even imagine. Actually, I can, because he got paid a lot of money, so I would do it. Rolling into number 2, we have Dakota Johnson. While many people know her from 50 Shades of Grey, she's also known for her outstanding performance in Suspiria. She played an aspiring ballet dancer in the movie that was a reboot of the 70s horror classic. The role took such a toll on her that she admitted to feeling very low and needed professional help to recover from the role. She spoke to Elle and said, "No lie, Suspiria effed me up so much that I had to go to therapy." She said the shooting process itself was not traumatic, but when the movie was wrapped, she turned to her therapist to help manage her emotions. She explained that when she takes on a role, she tends to absorb a lot of the people's feelings, so when working with such a dark subject matter, it stayed with her even after filming was over. In our number 1 place is Heath Ledger. His performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight was so chilling that it landed him an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and it is still talked about to this day. Sadly, he tragically passed away before being able to accept his award for this legendary performance. The years following his passing, rumors spread claiming that the movie was part of his demise. Reports claim that he took the role very seriously and took the method acting a little bit too far. It's been said that before filming began, he put himself in strict isolation, keeping a diary of disturbing images as a way to help him enter the realm of a psychopath. Even when he wasn't on set, it's been said that he was struggling to shake the character in his real life. Before passing, he talked about the filming process and told the New York Times, I quote, "I probably slept 2 hours a night. It was actually a mixture of painkillers and sedatives that ultimately took his life, so people often blame the movie role for his tragedy."
At number 10, Mike Myers. Does anyone else remember the Cat in the Hat live-action film from 2003 starring Mike Myers? I certainly do. It was pretty cringy, but in a good way since I was a little kid then, and I found everything to be unbelievably hilarious. I enjoyed that movie as a kid, but one person who didn't like it was the Cat in the Hat himself, Mike Myers. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to bump up his comedy and star in a production based on one of his old characters. But before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there were legal troubles. All of that was just some unnecessary drama. Well, they both ended up reaching an agreement and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for it, and he really made it known how badly he didn't want to be there. According to people who worked with him on set during the filming of the Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and the subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on Seuss's books again. Now before I carry on with the video, I would first like to take a moment to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one and continue supporting our platform. At number 9, Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is one of Hollywood's many heartthrobs. Any role that requires an attractive muscle man, Channing Tatum could fill, however he might not always be happy about doing that. Though he found a lot of success in other movies like 21 Jump Street and Magic Mike, when it came to the G.I. Joe movie back in 2009, the actor wasn't too thrilled about his part in the film. While doing an interview with Howard Stern, Channing spoke out about his feelings towards the movie and his part in it, where he told the audience that he didn't want the part in the movie in the first place. Going into more detail, the actor said that he was, quote, pushed into doing that movie, end quote. Channing also said that he was forced to take the part because he had to fulfill a contract that he had with Paramount Pictures. The actor also told the audience that though he liked G.I. Joe growing up, when it came to the film, the quote, script was subpar, and he was unsure if he wanted to actually be Joe, end quote. The film ended up being pretty subpar as the script suggested, and it got pretty mediocre ratings. This ended up saddling Channing with an underperforming movie, and that's never good for someone's career. At number 8, Jennifer Garner. After the success of the 2003 film Daredevil based on the Marvel comic, the studio decided, hey, this made us a lot of money, how about a spin-off? And so they did it. The spin-off film was based on Jennifer Garner's character from Daredevil named Elektra. It was looking like it would be very successful based on the success of the Daredevil movie, but sometimes things just don't always work out the way you would expect it, and the Elektra film tanked at the box office and received a lot of negative reviews as well. Later on in interviews, Jennifer went on to say how even she hated the film. Later she explained that the only reason why she agreed to the film was because Daredevil was in her contract, but she wished that she was never part of the movie because of how bad it was. At number 7, Edward Norton. Edward Norton was on the rise in Hollywood after he landed his breakout role in Primal Fear in 1996, which turned him into an Oscar-nominated star. This brought him a lot of new opportunities because everyone wanted him, but it also sort of turned him into a diva. With his role in Primal Fear, he was signed onto a 3-movie deal, but he never ended up following through on this. The studio ended up taking action against the actor and decided that in order to allow him to star in the 1999 film Fight Club, he had to make one last film for Paramount after filming for Fight Club ended. It took him another couple years to get to filming another movie for Paramount, and that only happened because the studio forced Norton's hand. They offered him a role in The Italian Job, and at first he refused the role, but both parties lawyered up and threatened to take this matter to court, and Edward finally caved and took the role even though he didn't want to. At number 6, Keanu Reeves. Actor Keanu Reeves found a lot of success after starting in The Matrix, and with that came a lot of drama. Coming out of the success of The Matrix, Keanu got blindsided by his friend Joe Charbonnet. Charbonnet allegedly forged Keanu's signature and forced the actor into starring in the serial killer film The Watcher. Because Keanu was unable to prove that Charbonnet actually forged his signature, and in the interest of avoiding a costly legal battle, Keanu went on to star in the movie, but he stayed super salty about it. When it came time for the movie's release, the actor did nothing to promote the movie. On top of that, he was contractually obligated to refrain from talking about how he got involved in the movie in the first place. However, that saltiness did build up, so when that contract expired, the actor was able to talk about the movie, and he didn't hold back on spilling the tea on how things went down. He did not hold a single detail back. At number 5, Emily Blunt. Actress Emily Blunt first got her rise to fame after starring in the film The Devil Wears Prada. After the success of that film, she was receiving offers from everywhere, including Marvel Studios, who were at one point considering her to play the role of Black Widow in Iron Man 2. Well, obviously that never happened, and instead she went on to play a role that she didn't exactly want. Fox Studios, the makers of The Devil Wears Prada, wanted Emily to appear in the new remake of Gulliver's Travels. Unfortunately, Emily had no choice but to say yes, because there was a little fine print in her contract when she signed on to be in The Devil Wears Prada that indicated that she had to star in one more film with the network, and the network chose Gulliver's Travels. The film ended up being a total failure, but luckily it didn't hurt the actress's career. At number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Even though Shia LaBeouf was the go-to guy for the Transformers franchise, turns out he started to really hate it after doing too many films. When the actor first signed on to be in the first Transformers film, he was contracted into a 3-movie deal. But it turns out that after the second one, he was completely over this story and wasn't afraid to speak out about it either, even calling out the film's director, Michael Bay. When speaking out about his feelings towards the Transformers films, Shia said, quote, "There were some really wild stunts in it, but the heart was gone. We got lost. Mike went in so big that it became too big. Unless you have those relationships, then the movie doesn't matter. Then it's just a bunch of robots fighting each other." End quote. The films were always a success, so even though Shia didn't want to be part of the franchise anymore, the fans still loved him and the movies that he made. At number 3, Natalie Portman. I might get roasted for this one, but the second Thor movie, Thor: The Dark World, wasn't really all that great. Another person who really wasn't a fan of the movie was one of the film's stars, Natalie Portman, who played the love interest Jane Foster. When she signed on to the first Thor film, she brought a lot of clout to the film since she was already a pretty big name in Hollywood, and at the time the MCU needed that since they were just starting out. But it seems as though the studio got a little greedy with Natalie, because even though she didn't really want to be in the Thor sequel, she was essentially bribed with a promise that the specific director would come on to direct the film. Well, when that director eventually backed out, Natalie was still contractually obligated to stay, and so they were able to rope her in for one last movie. The actress lost out on the one thing that made filming worth her while, and she still had to stay on set even though she didn't want to. After that, Natalie swore off making another film, as she said, quote, "As far as I know, I'm done. I don't know if maybe one day they'll ask for an Avengers 7 or whatever, I have no idea, but as far as I know, I'm done." End quote. Funnily enough, Natalie is set to appear in the next Thor film, Thor: Love and Thunder, so we'll just have to wait and see how she feels about this experience. At number 2, Daniel Craig. I know actor Daniel Craig as the latest person to take up the role of James Bond, but apparently Daniel Craig wishes he never took up the role. The actor is very vocal about how much he hates playing James Bond, and when promoting the movie Skyfall in 2012, he really let his feelings about the role be known, as he said, quote, "I've been trying to get out of this from the moment I got into it, but they won't let me go, and I've agreed to a couple more." End quote. You would think that after some more time, he would have warmed up to the character, but no, not really. Back in 2015, during the release of the next Bond film, Spectre, Daniel got even more heated when talking about the role when he said, quote, "At this moment, no. I have a life, I've got to get on with it." End quote. He also went on to say that he would, quote, "rather break this glass and slash his wrist than to be in another Bond film." He must have been really mad when he had to take up the role yet again for No Time to Die, which comes out this fall. And finally, at number 1, Jessica Alba. I have to say that I really liked Jessica Alba in the Fantastic Four movies, but she, on the other hand, did not. When she was cast in the first Fantastic Four movie, she was put under a 3-film contract, so when the first film did well and the sequel was announced, it wasn't much of a surprise, but when the film did come around, it was such a bust, and Jessica hated the movie so much that she almost considered quitting acting for good. Luckily for her, since the sequel did so bad, they never made a 3rd movie, but she did grow to hate the character Sue Storm because of how bad the films ended up being. Maybe it's just the curse of the Fantastic Four, because even the reboot they did a couple years ago did even worse than the original, so honestly, I don't know.